Daf Yomi, Tractate Avodah Zarah, page 44, Daf Mem Daled, and starting on the bottom of Mem Gimel Amud Bet. Actually, there's a new Mishnah, like a line, the bottom line or two at the bottom there. So let's start from the Mishnah. Rabbi Yossi Omer, Shochek v'zorah l'ruach omet l'yam, amru lo, afunas hizeh v'shenever lo yidbak b'yad chamiyum min acher. Mishnah says, Rabbi Yossi says, when one encounters an idol, he should grind the idol and throw the dust to the wind, or cast it into the sea. The rabbi said to him, what is the good of that? That also gives a Jew benefit from the idol, as it becomes fertilizer for his crops. And my question was, how is stone powder being fertilizer, unless the idol's made out of refuse, of excrement, maybe then. But anyway, and deriving any kind of benefit is prohibited, as it is stated, and nothing of the prescribed items shall cleave to your hand. Deuteronomy 13:18. That's the Mishnah. The Gemara says, Tanya, it is taught in the Brighton, Tosefta 3:16. Rabbi Yossi said to them, but isn't it already stated, and your sin? Now we turn to Avodah Zarah, Mem Dalet Amud Aleph, 44a, top of the page, with the word Asher Asitem, Et ha'egel kach li'asaf oto b'esh, ve'ekot odo tachon, hetev asher, ad asher dak le'afar, ashlich et afaro el hanachal ha'yored min ha'ahar. And this, the calf that you had made, this is Moses talking, I took it and burned it with fire, and beat it into pieces, grinding it very small, and it was as fine as dust, and I cast its dust into the brook that descended out of the mount. Deuteronomy 9:21. Moses, who ground up the idolatrous golden calf and dispersed its dust, was apparently unconcerned with the fact that it may fertilize the soil. I don't see why. I mean, it's a desert. I don't see what soil that it would fertilize. But in any case, let's continue. Amru lo misham raya harayu omer vayizar al pnei hamayim vayishak et bnei Yisrael lo nitkaven ela lemot kan kesotot. The rabbi said to him, you seek to bring a proof from there? Doesn't it state in the verse that he took the calf that they had made and burned it with fire and ground it to powder and strewed it upon the water and made the children of Israel drink of it? Exodus 32:20. Moses ground up the calf, intending only to inspect them, like Sota women, meaning like Sota women suspected by her husband, a woman suspected by her husband of having been unfaithful. Such a woman is compelled to drink water containing the ground up ink from a scroll of Torah passages relating to a Sota woman, which causes her to die if she was unfaithful, and exonerates her and bestows blessings upon her if she was faithful. Similarly, Moses ground up the calf in order to compel the people to drink, to cause the guilty parties to die. Amar lahem Rabbi Yossi v'lo kvar ne'emar v'gam et macha imo esira migvira asher asab mitpal Latsta v'gomer v'yidak v'yisrof b'nachal Kidron. Amar lo misham raya nachal Kidron el megal tzimachim. Rabbi Yossi said to them, but isn't it already stated concerning Asa? And he also removed Macha, his mother, from being queen, because she had made an abominable image, Iflatzta, for Asherah, and Asa cut down her image and burned it at the Kidron River. See 1 Kings 15:13. It seems that Asa was unconcerned that the ground of idol may provide fertilization. They said to him, you seek to bring proof from there. The Kidron River does not grow vegetation. So even if the idol would have fertilized the soil, it would have been no benefit. Was there actually soil in the Sinai desert? You know? Who knows? V'la v'atanya elu v'elu mitavrim ba'amo v'yoitzin arogidom nekol neganin lo leganonin lezevel moalim bahem מקומות יש מקום לגן לצמחים, יש מקום שאין לגן לצמחים. The Gemara asks, and does the Kidron not grow vegetation? But isn't it taught in the Mishnah, Yoma 58b, this remainder of blood from the external altar and that remainder of blood from the inner altar are mixed in the temple courtyard, drain beneath the altar, and they flow out with the water used to rinse the area to the Kidron River, and this water is sold to gardeners for use as fertilizer. The Mishnah continues, the gardeners pay for this water and thereby desacralize it, and failure to do so would render them liable for misuse of consecrated property. This is explicit proof that the Kidron Valley does yield produce. The Gemara answers there are different places in the Kidron area. There is a place that grows vegetation, and there is a place that does not grow vegetation. Ma miflatzda Amar Yehuda dehavi maflia letzinuta ki detani Rav Yosef kimin zachus asala v'haita niveles lo b'chol yom. The Gemara tangentially inquires about the meaning of a word in the verse quoted above. What is the meaning of miflatzta? Rav Yehuda says it means an object that intensifies licentiousness. Mafla lesenuta. As Rabbi Yosef teaches, ma'acha fashioned upon the idol the likeness of a male organ, and Shitake would use it to pleasure herself. Okay? She would engage in sexual activity with it daily. Azoi sagt die Gemara. Amar lahem Yossi, v'alo kvar dema v'chitat nachash nechoshes asher asa Moshe. The Brisa continues. Rabbi Yossi attempts to cite another proof that grinding an object of idol worship is sufficient from Hezekiah's destruction of Moses' serpent, which was worshipped by the Jewish people in Hezekiah's time. Rav Yossi said to them, but isn't it already stated, and he broke into pieces the brazen serpent that Moses had made, as until those days the children of Israel sacrificed to it, 2 Kings 18:4. This indicates that breaking an object of idol worship into pieces suffices. Avulo misham raya, harehu omer, v'yomer Hashem Moshe, aseh lecha saraf, lecha mishelecha, ve'ein adam oser davar, she'eino shelo v'yasam edin, hu dechatoti. The rabbi said to him, you seek to bring proof from there, doesn't it state in the verse? And the Lord said to Moses, make you a fiery serpent, and set it upon a pole, and it shall come to pass that everyone that is bitten, when he sees it, shall live. Numbers 21:8. The term make you is interpreted to mean that the Lord commanded Moses, make the serpent from your property. Consequently, the serpent belonged to Moses. And the principle in such a case is that a person does not render forbidden an item that is not his. Therefore, despite worshipping the serpent, the Jewish people could not render it a forbidden object of idol worship, and by right, it was not necessary to demolish it there. Rather, despite the fact that the serpent did not have the halachic status of an object of idol worship, since Hezekiah saw that the Jewish people were straying after it, he arose and demolished it. Nevertheless, since this demolishing was not done in order to fulfill the obligation to eradicate objects of idol worship, but merely to prevent its worship, breaking it into pieces was sufficient. אמר להם, הלא פניהם לא יעזבו שם את עצמם, ויסיים דוד יענשם, ומה משמע דהליוסים? ויסיים דוד, לשנה דזרוזהו, כי דמתרגם רב יוסף, תזרם ברוח תסיים. ומתרגם הינון, תזרנון, ברוח תטל תלינון. Rav Yosef said to the rabbis, citing another proof for his opinion, but isn't it already stated, and they left their images there, and David and his men took them away? Vayisayim, 2 Samuel 5:21. And from where may it be inferred that the meaning of this formulation, Vayisayim David, is winnowing, scattering them in the wind? As Rabbi Yosef translates translates the verse, Tirtseim veruah tisaim, veruach tisaim, Isaiah 41:16, and we translate it as follows: You shall fan them, and the wind shall carry them away. Apparently, this way of disposing of idolatrous objects is sufficient. אמרו לו משמריה, הרי הוא אומר וישרפו באש, ומדלק את העיר וישרף בהם וישראל, שמאמינה וישראל ממש. The rabbi said to him, You seek to bring proof from there? Doesn't it state with regard to the same incident, and they left their gods there, and David gave an order, and they were burned with fires, 1 Chronicles 14:12. And from the fact that it is not written here, and they burned them, Vayisa'im, learn from it, that the word Vayisa'im is not referring to scattering in the wind, but rather it should be understood literally, meaning David and his men took the idols away, and does not mean that they demolished and scattered them. Mikol makom, kashukra yadadi. The Gemara asked, in any case, the verses contradict each other. The two accounts with regard to David's disposal of the idols seem inconsistent. One states that his men took them away or scattered them, while the other recounts that they burned them. But the Gemara answers in accordance with the resolution of Rav Huna, as Rav Huna raises a contradiction between the verses. As follows, it is written, and they left their gods there, and David gave an order, and they were burned with fires. 1 Chronicles 14:12, and it also is written, and David and his men took them away, 2 Samuel 5:21. Lo kashya kan kodem sheba itai hagiti kan achal sheba itai hagiti. Rav Huna answers, it is not difficult. In the interim, Ittai the Gittite, who was a Gentile, arrived, and David commanded him to revoke the idolatrous status of the idols, as only Gentiles are capable of doing this. Here, the verse that states that they burned the idols describes their actions before Ittai the Gittite came, whereas there, the verse that indicates that they simply carried them away is referring to after Ittai the Gittite came and revoked their status as objects of idol worship, obviating the need to burn them. Dichativ, ויקח את הזרת מלכם מעל ראשו משקלה, כיכר זהב ומשרי ישרר עננינו, אבל בנחמני תגיתי בה ובויתלה. Another difficulty is resolved by Ittai's arrival, as it is written with regard to the Ammonite idol, and he took the crown of Malcham from off his head, and its weight was a talent of gold, and in it were precious stones, and it was set on David's head. 2 Samuel 12:30. But is it permitted for David to wear the crown? Isn't it an object of idol worship, and therefore under the category of items from which deriving benefit is prohibited? Nachman says, Ittai the Gittite arrived and revoked its status as an object of idol worship. Mishkala kikar zahav, hechi matzai menachla, amar Rabbi Yehuda marav ru'ya l'nochal rosh David, Rabbi Yossi b'arechan yomar even sho'evis, hayteba, ti'avet gala, Rabbi Lazar amar henika, hayzer rabba, shishala kikar zahav. The Gemara discusses David's crown. The verse states, and its weight was a talent of gold. As a talent is a very heavy weight, the Gemara asks, how could David place it on his head? Rabbi Yehuda says, that Rav says, what is meant is that it was actually placed on his head. But rather, what is meant is not that it was actually placed on his head, but rather that it was fit to rest on David's head. Meaning, it fit the size of his head. Giving a different answer, Rabbi Yossi, son of Rabbi Hanina, says, there was a lodestone in it that would hold it up, meaning from which it was suspended. David sat and placed his head in it, giving the appearance that he was wearing it. Rabbi Elazar says, what is meant is not that it weighed a full talent of gold, but rather that there was a precious stone on it that was worth a talent of gold. Zot hayta li ki pikudecha netzarti. Mai kamau. Hachi kamau. B'schar shepikudecha netzarti. Zot hayta li le'edut. Mai eduta. Amar Yehoshua ben Levi. שהיה מניח במקום תפילין ועולם טוב. והבאי אנוכי תפילין, אמר רבי שמואל רבי יצחק, מקום יש בראש שראוי להניח בו שתי תפילין. The Gemara asks with regard to the verse, this I have had as I have kept your precepts. Psalms 119:56. What is it saying? The Gemara answers that this is what the verse is saying. As reward for the fact that I kept your precepts, this crown was a testimony for me that I am fit to be king. What exactly is its testimony? Rabbi Yehoshua ben Levi says it was that David would place the crown on his head, on the spot where one dons phylacteries, to fill it, and it fit him perfectly. The Gemara asks, but how could he have worn the crown? Wasn't he required to don phylacteries? Rabbi Shmuel bar Rabbi Yitzchak says there's enough space on the part of the head that is fit for donning phylacteries for one to don two phylacteries. Vayotzi et ben hamelech v'yitnu alav et nezer v'yetza edut. Nezer zu klila. Edut amar Yehuda marav edut hu leveit David shekol oel malchus holam tov. וכל שאין רואה למלכוס אין עולם טוב. Similarly, it is stated with regard to Yoash, they brought out the king's son and put upon him the crown and the testimony and made him king. 2 Chronicles 23:11. Nezer is a crown. What is the testimony? Yehuda says, that Rav says, it is a testimony for the progeny of house of David that anyone who is fit for kingship, the crown fits him properly, and anyone who is unfit for kingship, the crown does not fit him properly. V'Adonia ben Chagit mitnaseh lemo ani emloch. Amar Rabbi Yehuda Rav mitnaseh leholamo velo holam tov. Similarly, the verse states, now Adonai son of Chagit exalted himself, saying, I will be king. 1 Kings 1:5. Rabbi Yehuda says, the Rav says, the term exalted himself teaches that he sought to have the crown fit him, but it did not fit him. Vayas lo rechev ufarashim ו50 איש רצים לפניו. מה רבותיו? תנא כולם נטולי טחול וחכו ככפות הרגליים. The verse continues, and he prepared for himself chariots and riders and 50 people to run before him. 1 Kings 1:5. The Gemara asks, what is the novelty of these actions, since other wealthy people do the same, even if they are not the sons of kings with designs on the throne? It is taught in the Brighton that what was unique was that the runners all had their spleens removed and had the soles of their feet hollowed. The flesh from their feet was removed, and these two procedures enhanced their speed. Really? You don't say. They had their spleens removed and the soles of their feet hollowed? Whoa. That's strange. Now we turn to 44b, and it's a new Mishnah, and we shall return with the new Mishnah after a brief interlude. And we're back with the Mishnah on top of 44b. The Mishnah, top of 44b, right. Sha'al Proclus ben Pilosphus. Proclus ben Pilosphus. את רבן גמליאל בעכו שרוחץ במרחץ של אפרודיטה. אמר לה, כתוב בתורתכם לא ידבק בידך מאומה מן החרם. מפני מה אתה רוחץ במרחץ של אפרודיטה? Interesting. It's a Mishnah and it's a story. Okay, a wise, like a philosopher, I guess, a wise Gentile. They call him a wise Gentile here. Proclus ben Pelospus once asked a question of Rabban Gamliel in the city of Akko when he was bathing in the bathhouse of the Greek god Aphrodite. Proclus said to him, it is written in your Torah, and nothing of the prescribed items shall cleave to your hand. Deuteronomy 13:18. For what reason do you bathe before an idol in the bathhouse of Aphrodite? Amar lo, ein moshivim b'merchatz. כשיצא אמר לו, אני לא באתי בגבולה, היא באה בגבולי. אין אומרים נעשה מרחץ נוי לאפרודיטה, אלא אומר נעשה אפרודיטה נוי למרחץ. So Rabban Gamliel said to him, one may not answer questions related to Torah in the bathhouse. Okay. And when he left the bathhouse, Rabban Gamliel gave him several answers. He said to him, I did not come into its domain, it came into my domain. I don't see what the answer is. Okay. The bathhouse existed before the statue dedicated to Aphrodite was erected. I don't see why that's a good reason. Furthermore, people do not say, let us make a bathhouse as an adornment for Aphrodite. Rather, they say, let us make a statue of Aphrodite as an adornment for the bathhouse. Therefore, the main structure is not the Aphrodite statue, but the bathhouse. But I mean, if this is idolatry, I don't see why someone like Rabban Gamliel would even want to go in there. Forget about whether you're allowed to or not. Why would he want to go there? It's a big question. דבר אחר, אם לא ישתים לך ממון הרבה, אתה נכנס לו לזרע, שלך ארום, ובעל קרי, ומשתין בפניהו. זו עומדס על פי הביב בכל העם, משתינין לפניה, ולא נאמר אלא אלוהיהם. את שנוהג בו משום אלוהיו אסור. Rabban Gamliel continued, alternatively, there's another answer. Even if people would give you a lot of money, you would not enter before your object of idol worship naked, or as one who experienced a seminal emission who comes to the bathhouse to purify himself, or would you urinate before it? Nor would you urinate before it. This statue stands upon the sewage pipe, and all the people urinate before it. There is no prohibition in this case, as it is stated in the verse, only their gods, in Deuteronomy 12:2, which indicates that a statue that people treat as a deity is forbidden, but one that people do not treat with the respect that is due to a deity is permitted. Still, if I don't get what he was saying, if people would get, even if people would give you a lot of money, you would not enter before your object of idol worship naked, or as one who experiences some mission comes to the bathhouse to pure himself, nor would you urinate before it. I don't see what he was saying, but anyway, let's continue. The Talmud says, okay. Let's continue here. The Mishnah relates that Rabban Gamliel first told Proclus that he cannot answer a question related to Torah in a bathhouse. Or asked, and how could he have acted in this manner? How could Rabban Gamliel have stated even this halacha in the bathhouse? But doesn't Rabbi Bar Chana say, that Rabbi Yochanan says, it is permitted to contemplate matters of Torah everywhere except for a bathhouse and a bathroom? And if you would say that Rabban Gamliel stated this ruling to him in a secular language, and therefore it was permitted for him to do so, this would not be a satisfactory answer. But doesn't Abaye say that it is permitted to say secular statements in a bathhouse or bathroom in the sacred language in Hebrew, but it is prohibited to say sacred Torah-related statements even in a secular language in a bathroom or a bathhouse? The Gemara answers that the Mishnah actually taught as follows. When he left the bathhouse, Rabban Gamliel said to him, one may not answer questions related to Torah in the bathhouse. Amar Rav bar Yosef Rabbi Amar Rabbi Yoshaya Tshuva Genuva Hashivo Rabban Gamliel Oto Hegmon Ve'ani Omer Eino Genuva. Rav Chama bar Yosef, the distinguished, says that Rabbi Yoshaya says Rabban Gamliel gave a deceptive response to that officer of prophets, and I, Rav Chama, say that the response was not deceptive but truthful. My genuvte dikamarle lo zo omedes al pi habiv v'chol adam mashtin mifanea chi mashtin mifanea mai havi. The Gemara explains what was his deception according to Rabbi Yoshaya. It was that Rabban Gamliel said to him, this statue stands upon the sewage pipe and all people urinate before it. In saying this, Rabban Gamliel meant that the statue has no idolatrous status, as it is evident from the demeaning conduct performed before it. And this claim is deceptive, as even if one urinates before it, what of it? Does that really negate its idolatrous status? But doesn't Rava say that the idol of Peor proves the contrary, as its worshippers defecate before it daily, and its idolatrous status is still not revoked, I would just tell you that one is meant for it and one's not meant for it. But let's see what they say. Yeah, that's exactly what they said. See, that's exactly what the Gemara says. The Chacham Bar Yosef disagrees. I say it's not a deceptive answer with regard to that idol, or its standard manner of worship was in that manner. Therefore, its status is certainly not revoked by that behavior. With regard to this statue, Aphrodite, its standard manner of worship is not in that manner. Therefore, the display of demeaning conduct in its presence is indicative of a lack of reverence for it and of its lack of idolatrous status. Abaye said deception in Rabbi Gamliel's response was from here. When he said to him, I did not come into its domain, but rather it came into my domain. He explains, and even if the bathhouse, had come into its domain, what of it? Even if the idol had preceded the bathhouse, it would still not render use of the bathhouse prohibited. But didn't we learn in the Mishnah 51b, with regard to an object of idol worship that has a bathhouse or a garden in front of it, that one may derive benefit from the bathhouse or garden without showing favor by giving thanks or payment to its priests, but one may not derive benefit from it while showing it favor? Rabban Gamliel's answer was therefore deceptive because the permissibility of using the bathhouse had nothing to do with its antecedents to the statue. ואני אומר, אינו גנובה שלא בטובas רבן גמליאל כטובתכם דמי. Rabbi Chacham Bar Yosef himself disagrees, and I say that it is not a deceptive answer, even though Rabban Gamliel visited the bathhouse without showing favor by expressing thanks or giving payment. The very fact that such an esteemed visitor paid it a visit is the equivalent of others actively showing favor. Rav Shimi bar Chia Amar גנובתם מהכה, דקאמר לו, זו עומדת על הביב, וכל אדם משתיני בפניה, וכי משתין בפניה מה הביא, ויצנן, ריק בפניה, השתין בפניה, גררה, וזרק בה את הצואה, הרי זו אינו מבטלה. Rabbi Shimi bar Chia says, the deception in Rabban Gamliel's response was from here. When he said to him, this statue stands upon the sewage pipe, and all the people urinate before it, he explains, and if people urinate before it, what of it? That does not indicate a lack of idolatrous status, but didn't we learn in the Mishnah 53a, if one spit in front of it, urinated in front of it, dragged it, or threw feces at it, its status as an object of idol worship is not revoked? V'ani omer, eino genuva hatam, lefi sha'atahu ratach aliyah, ואדם מפייס להכה כל שata v'shata בזלזלי קיימה. Rav Chacham Bar Yosef himself disagrees, and I say that it is not a deceptive answer. There, in the case of that Mishnah, is one who temporarily rages against the idol, and afterward he appeases it. Here, in the case of Aphrodite, the Aphrodite statue erected on the sewage pipe, each and every hour the statue remains in a constant state of disparagement. This setup indicates a permanent lack of reverence and an absence of true idolatrous status. Rabba bar Ula Amar, Genuvta mehacha, dekama le, eino emnas meachat noi l'Aphrodite, ela nase Aphrodite noi lemeachat. Prichi amar nase meachat l'Aphrodite noi, mai havi, והתניא האומר באי זה לעבוד זרה, כוי זה לעבוד זרה, לא אמר כלום, שנקדיש לעבוד זרה. Rabba bar Ula said the deception in Rabban Gamliel's response was from here. When he said to him that people do not say, let us make a bathhouse as an adornment for Aphrodite, rather they say, let us make a statue of Aphrodite as an adornment for the bathhouse. He explains, and even if people say, let us make a bathhouse as an adornment for Aphrodite, what of it? But isn't it taught in a Braita in the case of one who says, "This house is hereby dedicated to an idol worship," or "This cup is hereby dedicated to idol worship"? He has said nothing, meaning his words take no effect, as there is no halacha of consecration with regard to objects of idol worship. While one can consecrate an item to the temple through verbal designation, there is no such method for according to idolatrous status. There is no such method for according idolatrous status to an object. Therefore, Rabban Gamliel's deception lies in his indication that such a formulation would render the bathhouse forbidden as an object of idol worship. V'ani omer, ein g'lovani d'it sore, lo mitasra noy me'a'ik. Rav Chama bar Yosef himself disagrees, and I say that it is not a deceptive answer. Although the bathhouse would not be rendered forbidden as an object of idol worship due to a verbal designation, it would at least have the status of an adornment of an object of idol worship, which is also forbidden.